I'm most proud about it actually is like the students that are getting the results is way more meaningful than I can ever say, because most people never finish online courses.
$11 million. That's what Anmol Singh's company, Live Traders, generated by publishing live content in its community. In this conversation, we're going to share how showing can be your competitive advantage in a show versus tell marketing world.
So we said there's a gap in the market. How don't we show people what we do every single day? And that's why we call it Live Traders. Every single day is live streaming.
We're going to show you how transparency and authenticity are key to growing in one of the most skeptical industries.
Who is your target market? Like, we don't attract brand new people, because brand new people are attracted to lifestyle, all the gains, the flashiness, the Bugatti.
And what content to use in the different stages of your funnel.
The goal is to create a growth-minded community, not a like-minded community, because, drug addicts are like-minded. But we want to...
These lessons are not specific to seven-figure businesses. You can apply these regardless of the level you find yourself in. Enjoy. Guys, welcome back to Continuous Profit. Fonzie.
Here, let me fix the mic for you real quick.
Stop. I like it like that.
It's like pointing at your chest.
That's where the bass is coming from, just so you know. Anyways, but anyways, you came back from this event with, Brian, one of the people that we've been helping, and you could not stop talking about this incredible dude.
I know. I made some cool friendships in there. I'm just gonna say.
I know. I was a little jealous. Yeah, it's like, why am I a dad? Why I have to stay? No, I'm kidding. The weekends.
Yeah, clarify that. You love your kids.
I adore my kids. They're my world, man. But anyways, so we finally got him here to show. Anmol, welcome to Continuous Profit, man. Let's go.
He's one of the superstars. Yeah, one of the superstars I met at the event, and he's a trader, right? But He's done so much more. He's built a personal brand. But I want to kick it off, right? So we have a frame for the conversation, right? I'm curious, right? You're part of Live Traders. Now you're building your own personal brand. But let's start with Live Traders, right? How much do you say you could attribute potentially to have generated inside of Live Traders from your content, right? Because again, not from your trading, but more from the community you've built and the products you have sold, based on marketing them from content.
Yeah, so I think, we started back in 2015, and I think our first year was like $160,000 or something. And then year two, we kind of doubled that. We went to like 320,000. And then, COVID was actually our best year, 2020. Everybody wanted to learn how to trade. Everybody wanted to work from home. And I think that year we did 6 million. And then we kind of have a little bit of a downfall, but we're still hanging around, that area. So overall, probably would have done over 11 at this point.
Absolutely.
But,
amazing.
what I'm most proud about it actually is like the students that are getting the results. That actually is what is way more meaningful than I can ever say, because most people never finish online courses.
Yeah,
so the fact that people finish it and get results just makes it all more worthwhile for me.
Yeah, that's so cool. We had the last episode, if you haven't listened to it yet, with Jake Ron, founder of Kajabi, right? Or not founder. He was part of the board, CEO
of Kajabi for
a while.
Took
it from like $1 million a year to about $100 million a year, which was crazy. He was telling that, right? That part of the success has been the focus that they did with the product itself to make sure that the people that are using the product are having the success, right?
Exactly.
So,
I'm sure you wouldn't have grown to that extent if your product wasn't good, if what you guys are delivering and, the community that you guys are cultivating, that my brother says, was good, right? And they were getting results. And, I'm in that bucket. 2020, even before 2020, I was like, I want to try to learn how to trade. Let me go into penny stocking. Like, I went everywhere, dude, everywhere. I was like, I know, like, where's the most risk? I'm gonna go there. I wish I would have known about Live Traders and met you before, because definitely I would have gone and check you guys out and join the community. But, something that really called my attention is that you do a lot of lives, right? And maybe that is why Live Traders goes in, but was that part of your core strategy, right? Is doing live trades, cultivating the community? I'm curious, what was maybe the main strategy, or what would you attribute to what piece of content, the success that you guys had in there?
Yeah, I think the Live Traders aspect of it is because, the way we started, our first year, our tagline was real money, real traders, real results. And the reason we chose the name Live Traders was because there were so many people online, like, selling alerts or, courses, all these different things. But I'm like, how do you actually trade yourself? Like, you're selling these courses, but do you even trade? And a lot of people online were not willing to like kind of put their money on the line and just trade live in front of everybody. They were just more happy teaching people. So we said there's a gap in the market. How don't we show people what we do every single day? And that's why we call it live traders. Every single day is live stream. In fact, just getting before on this podcast, I was on the live stream, showing people what I'm doing and teaching people. So I think that's the best way to learn. I think that's what I attribute the success to, is for people to not only learn from the course, but then see us actually apply that in real time.
Yeah. I'm curious, do you guys made the decision of, hey, let's sell something, and then that's the strategy that we're going because we see the gap in the market, or you guys started creating content and then after you're like, oh, people are joining in, they're asking questions, maybe we should sell something? What was the order of what you guys did?
Yeah, the order actually was just me and my business partner. Even before we started live streaming, we would just, back in the day we used to have Skype. So we just get on a Skype call and we just talk while we're trading, and that's how it started. And it's like, this is a great environment for new traders because everybody's sitting on the computer doing it by themselves. A, it's boring. Yeah. B, you could be doing it completely wrong. So we just try to create a community where a bunch of people chatting with each other, sharing ideas. And think about it. If I have two eyes, right? I'm looking at finding stocks, but now there's hundreds of eyes that I've coached finding stuff even for me. Hey, Anmol, look at this setup. That's the setup from the course. And then I'll look at it and I might even trade it and make money on that. So now we got more eyeballs. We got a team. And, trading it could be a lonely business. There's no colleagues. There's no employees. It's you on your computer. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So to be able to create that community feel is one of the biggest reasons we started. And originally, we didn't even think about doing this as a business or to make money or anything. We just said, hey, we do this every day anyway. You and I talk. Why don't we just live stream us talking and trading? And then people were wanting to sign up for that. And that's how it turned into like a business.
Yeah, I love that. Fun, super fun, random fact. But I feel like today the universe is speaking to us. Maybe we need to get into this type of business trading because there's actually somebody that called like a few days ago that is coming to the studio to record content about trading stocks and all that stuff. So I think it's kind of funny that it all align in the same day.
Yeah.
Dude,
maybe that's a sign. We should take it.
Yeah, exactly. I love what you're mentioning right now because that's actually a concept on. We got the background. It's so good.
It's okay. Nobody knows at home. Fonzie, keep talking. This is just what happens.
That is true. No, I love it, dude. We were complimenting your background right before the conversation.
It's like I forgot to turn my AirPlay on, so when you get a call.
Which, by the way, at the end of this interview, like we'll share a little bit of what.
Yeah, the technical setup that he has. The technical setup that he has, which is sick. It's legit.
Yes.
But what I wanted to comment on is what you're doing is actually one of the concepts of copywriting too, which is show versus tell. Right? A lot of people when they're creating content, it's like, all right, let me just tell them about this stuff. It's like, how do I show it, right? Obviously, with words, it's a little bit challenging to like show the thing. Obviously, you get images that can support. When you create content, you can do so. Obviously, examples, etc. But doing it live is like the top way to show somebody, and there's no better way to build rapport.
Yeah.
Fun fact: when we started Content is Profit, we were like, we're just gonna do it live, right? So people can actually see how we are creating the content. It was easier for us to friction-wise, right? We decreased the friction to the way we publish the podcast. It was out the same day. The minute we were done, it was out in the world, right? But at the same time, I think it helped us build trust with the audience that was listening to us. And I'm sure, the hundreds of students that you have, like they build so much trust with you just based on the fact that they can actually see what you're doing, right? And it's just a testimony by itself. It's like, hey, look, I'm not just selling you some smoke. Like, I'm actually going to do this thing. Yeah. Now, do you have a...
Yeah, I have a question because, just yesterday we had a couple tours here in the studio, and a lot of it that we talked is on messaging, right? And then that turns into almost the psychology of the person that's, sharing the content. And we have here on our notes that, you specialize in trading psychology, right? And it's almost like you're the niche that you speak on in this world, right, in a sense. What made you go there, right? Like, are you passionate about that? Or is that like a need that you saw from the people that were coming to like your online community or the lives? Like, how do you actually aim to go that way? Because a lot of the people that start creating content, or at least in our experience, the people that we talked about, they have a hard time picking like where that go on. Maybe that's the stage of the business that they're in, right? They're trying different things. How do you get to that point where you're like, this is my thing, this is my lane?
Yeah, I think firstly, you gotta love what you're doing. Like I actually genuinely love trading. And it's like a challenge for me. It's like a competition. Every day is different. You know, the element of you never know what's coming, the dynamic nature of it. So I was like all very curious about the stock market. So for me, this was something, even if I was not doing it as a business, I'd probably be in somebody else's community or like always be involved
Yeah.
because I'd be doing it anyway. And when I was new, I used to pay for other people's communities and be part of them. And then, but I saw that the difference really was that a lot of people were like, they would happily talk about their gains. They would happily talk about their profits and how well they're doing and just create this perception.
Yeah.
But that's not the reality of trading. You're going to have bad trades. You're going to have losing trades. And a lot of people weren't willing to share that. So for me, I know that I learned a lot more from my losing trades and from the losses than I do from the winning ones. Because winning trade work, that's awesome. But how do you handle yourself when you're losing money? How do you handle that psychology? And I think that's what people liked it because we would be just real. If I'm losing, I'll be losing live in front of them on a live stream so they can kind of get to see how I handle myself, how I navigate it, that I'm not going on a tilt, as they say on poker, right? So like I'm doing it the right way. So I think that was the biggest reason to do it. And also when I started trading, I used to be at a prop firm. So there would be like a office space. There's like hundreds of traders there, and we'd all be sharing ideas. And then I noticed that most individual traders never made it in this business because they never had anybody to bounce ideas off of. So for me, it was all about creating that environment that it almost feels like you're sitting next to us.
That's so cool.
Something that really caught my eye when I met you, right, was part of your story where your partner was actually your coach, right? I thought that was so interesting, and then later on you guys partner up, build this business, and now he's retiring and you're kind of like transitioning to your own personal brand. I would love for you to speak a little bit about that. Kind of like how did that relationship develop into live traders, and now what does that transition looks like for you into your own personal brand, right? Like for those that go and see your Instagram, for example, like you create a lot of lifestyle type of content, right? Which is I think is very aligned too with the trading type of content that at least I've seen out there. But I'm curious, to hear about that transition and then what is next for you and how are you planning on tackling your own personal brand?
Yeah, so my business partner, Jared, so he was my coach. He used to be trading for a firm and he was the guy like creating courses and stuff. So I still remember like in 2010 or something, I attended a free webinar online and it was hosted by my partner, Jared. And I was like, oh, this is interesting because everywhere else that I've attended these free webinars, they're just a sales pitch. Oh, buy this, you're going to make X, turn $1,000 into $10 million in 2 minutes. Those back in the day when there was no like monitoring, you'd see these ads on Google everywhere, right? And they would come in your inbox, how to make this money. So I attended free webinar with him and he was talking more about the psychology, about, losing trades. Even when he would take a bad trade, he would talk about it. And I think I liked that because I could see the transparency in that. And I said, that's where I should be learning. So I remember I paid like $6,000 back then to take his program. And I kind of did really well with the program. I started, making money and doing well as a trader. And then he hit me up. He said, hey, this company that I work for, they're looking for an intern. Just so if somebody's on a holiday, you can come fill in for them on the live streams. And I said, I'll do that. And it was not much. I was paid like $1,500 a month to do it. Nothing great. But I was still in college, so I did that. So I started like then working with that prop firm, the company whose money I was trading. So they would bring their new hires. And the CEO said, hey, you really did well with our program, but a lot of people are struggling. So why don't you start coaching the new people where we're hiring? And that's going to be your role in the company. So I started working for them, coaching traders. And that's how I got into coaching. And then in 2015, that company got bought out. And so I hit up my business partner. I'm like, hey, we've been doing this for 5 years. Are you joining this new company that's being bought out? Or why don't you and I team up, right? I mean, you already taught me. I'm your case study right here. So why don't we take all the elements that the other firm was ignoring, like talking about the bad trades and all of that stuff, and we create this environment for people. Let me handle the online part of the business. You do the coaching and training. And that's how it started.
That's awesome. Wow. I love that story, right? And you mentioned it again, transparency and authenticity, right? Again, for the little I've seen on this world, right, when I was like kind of like looking into it, trying to get into it, it's a lot of gains, right? And it does paint, obviously, it speaks to the desire of what I would assume most people are coming into this world, which is, I want to make a lot of money, right? So when they see gains, they're like, oh, wow, I can potentially make these gains as well. But I think there's something extremely valuable, of course, of being transparent and authentic and sharing the losses, right? And bringing people down to reality like, hey, yes, gains is a possibility for sure, and we can help you, guide you there. But the reality is that there will be challenges, right? Just like building a business. You're like, okay, the potential is that we can make so much money doing X, Y, and Z, but there are going to be challenges, right? And most people don't mention those when they're selling you their programs, their stuff, right?
Do you ever feel any kind of fear, right? Because I think like at that point, you know, even we've had people, especially now in the physical location, we get way more conversations in person, right? And it's almost like pretending. You can always tell like that person across the table is like pretending to either have a business or something like that, and I think like we made peace with, you know, us and how we conduct ourselves, especially in these interviews, right? I think a part of the authenticity and energy has allowed us to meet incredible people that, you know, we consider now friends. And, but there's still like that little thought, at least in my head, to where like, man, like to fully lean into it, there's still some resistance, like in a sense, and we still do it, but there's still that. And especially when you go online. So I totally understand that people that might, you know, be starting to create content, that are starting to put their message out there, right? It's almost like the duty to put the message out there has to be way bigger for me to fully accept. And, you know, I'm helping by being authentic, right? Like, do you feel any resistance at some point? You know, I feel like for you came very natural, but I'm very curious, like, do you ever feel that or be like, man, like, maybe we should be like less transparent on this side because that's going to help us sell more? Not that that's true, by the way. I'm just giving an example.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think those are legit questions that come through people's minds when they're building all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think in the beginning, we definitely had that period because we were putting out like great content, like hour-long in-depth lectures. But then we'd see these people making lifestyle videos and them getting all the views, you know, millions of views, where our video got like 1,000 views. So at that point, we definitely thought about it. We had a conversation. We're like, are we targeting too much of a niche? Like, because our people need to know about trading, because we're putting in technical lectures and it's not attracting new people, right? Yeah. It's not attracting brand new people. So we definitely had that moment. And there was a moment where my partner was posting all these pictures with like, you know, cars and all of that. But then we had a conversation and we just said, you know, it doesn't feel right. And if we're going to do this business for like long term, I don't want to be putting on a thing. I don't want to be putting on a show. I want to just be myself and be able to share people. So I think the number one question people need to ask themselves is like, who is your target market? Like, we don't attract brand new people, because brand new people are attracted to lifestyle, right? All the gains, the flashiness, the Bugatti, you know, all the new people are attracted to that. But we're like, that's not the audience we're going for. And that's partly one of the reasons, like, we haven't had a single refund for our course since 2015. Not a single refund. And that's like industry standard, I think, is about 30-something%. So our refund rate overall is like 0.6% or something over the last 8 years. Wow. And that goes to show not only the quality, but like the ability they can just feel it. I think back in the day you could get away with it. Now your audience feels it. They can just see it right through you. Are you just regurgitating what other people are saying? And you got to know who you're going after. So we're going after people who have been around trading. They've traded for a little bit while. They struggled. They all know the realities. They've been through trying out all the penny stock newsletters and all of that stuff. And now they finally found something. And that's our audience. We don't look for brand new people who've never traded before, even though we get some of those, but that's just not the audience we're looking for. Yeah. So you got to be really clear. Who is your ideal client? Who is your ideal audience? And just focusing everything to that, because you cannot go too broad and have everybody like you. And no matter what you do, 50% of people are always not going to like you. They're not going to relate to you. So you go after the 50% who are going to go relate to you.
Yeah. Another great lesson, right? And I see it as the stages of the content that you speak to. There's a saying, you know, the person that speaks the problem best, right? The person that knows how to tell the problem the best is the person that's going to win, right? And you knowing who you are targeting and who you're not targeting, right, allows you to create content under that frame and speaks better to the people that you're targeting, right? So another great lesson for those creating content right now that you're probably struggling to connect with the audience that you want to actually target. Think about the problem, right? Like, what is the actual problem that I'm solving? Because we've been victims of that, right? Victims of like creating content for the person that is, you know, 5-6 steps before they are actually the people that we're trying to sell. And like, there's nothing wrong with that problem, right? Like those people, you might nurture them, they might get in your ecosystem, and eventually they might, you might sell them. But if you are running a business and you are looking to convert some of those conversations, like you need to speak to the current market that you're talking to.
You reminded me of a story like a couple of weeks ago. A person that we worked with her for a couple of years, and she brought in her internal team, and it's awesome. And then she has a really good friends in Austin. And this person is known for going viral in many ways, right? And I remember while we worked together, one of the questions is that it's like almost like that reverse imposter syndrome, where it's like, I know like with this content is so high quality and for this specific type of person, but on the other side, almost like you wish to have like the bigger audience, right? Because we think that bigger audience will lead to maybe more business or better business, right? And it's a total legit question, but when we're producing the podcast, and from podcast clips, it's like really challenging to get bigger numbers if you're not engineering to go do that, right? Yeah. And we every single week we had that conversation, right? And then they went to Austin, and this person I think posted something on his Twitter about this previous client that we had that they're looking for a date, and the post went viral, 3 million views in no time. I think she got over 1,000 DMs, right? And all these things, right? So, you get this person that finally got viral, maybe not for the right reasons, because like they serve, they serve top companies. Like they've worked with Samsung, for example, with the top leadership team in there. And the lesson was like, do we actually want to go viral, right? Like for this type of stuff. And even though she got a ton of eyes, that didn't really translate into business at that point. So you're like, okay, well, it's really interesting to see all these people going viral, but like, what's behind that, right? Like going from mental health, is that actually good for you as a person to like, is that actually good for the business, right? So I think like the decision that you guys made is so important. A lot of people can learn from that if they're trying to chase, maybe there's big numbers at the front that might not translate into what you want for your business on the back end.
Yeah,
absolutely. Views don't necessarily translate into conversion. I know people in our space that have like 10 times the views than us, right? More subscribers, more views, everything, but they don't convert as well because a lot of time people look at content as entertainment. So if your content has a lot of views, it's probably entertaining. People watched it, maybe they shared it a little bit, but they didn't have any reason to call you or contact you or take action or do anything with that. So I would rather tailor the content and get, let's say, 1,000 views, but that's my 1,000 people. That out of that, if you get them, let's say on a call or something, 40% of them would convert. Whereas if you got 1 million people, you're casting a big wide net, but you'll get a little bit trickle down, but it's not optimized. So I've learned that, that you should just stick to your audience. Like I know people who have like 60 views on their videos, 70 views, but their conversions, their business is rocking and rolling because it's those 70 people that are going to be their clients rather than 1 million views. And half of them is just like people scrolling and it adds as a view.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the transition now to your personal brand, right? Your partner decided to retire, right? He's like, I'm gonna go enjoy my life somewhere else, or I don't know, maybe he's staying there wherever he is. But you decided to now build your own personal brand, right? And I'm curious, how does that transition looks like? I know when we had a conversation before the podcast, right? You were very concerned about like not neglecting your community that you already have with live traders, right? Which I think is absolutely amazing. But you're also, you want to make a name for yourself. You wrote a book. You have a new journal out there. You do have kind of like a strategy in place of how you want to build this. But I'm curious, right? What are some of the lessons that you're taking from building live traders into your own personal brand? Some of the challenges that they might come up, right? And you're prepping for those as well.
Yeah, I think the challenge is like when we started, there was very equal content on our YouTube. Like my partner would put a video a week, then I would put a video. And then somehow in the way, like I got focused on just being a good trader, focusing on my trading. I wanted to scale that to a different level. So I kind of took a backseat and I stopped making YouTube videos and all of that. So then over the last few years, I mean, he has been the face of the company because that was, him. So the concern for me was always that maybe I should have kept on putting on content, or now as he leaves, he's not going to be putting in any YouTube videos. So then it's got to be on me. So I think that was the element. But on branding myself, I mean, we kind of already had a brand. Live Traders was the name, but then it's still run by me and him.
Yeah.
So there's still an audience and community of people that are there. So I want to obviously nurture them, keep them, but also expand it into other areas of my life, because I'm known for trading. I'm known for helping people with trading and being a trader. But on the side, I've done a lot of other things that I have real estate. I have all these different topics that I love talking about, but I always felt like, I don't know, maybe I'm going too broad. I should stick to my niche. But I think at some level, you gotta just be like, hey, I'm just being open with people, everything I'm doing, and I'm just gonna share my life as like a documentary. And if some people come for trading, great, I'll help you with that. If some people come for other things, I'll help you with that. Because there's a lot of other people whose businesses, like, they are the face of the company. I'm not even there involved, but I'm running like their operations and I'm getting them to do the success. So for the longest time, I felt I've built other people's businesses. I think it's time I start working on myself and building my own thing. So I think that's kind of the overall strategy, is just to share people everything I'm doing, the startups I'm investing in, the real estate that I'm buying, and like the trading is also a big focus on that. But then just being able to share my journey so that it might give other people some ideas on where their journey could go.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things you mentioned is you want to launch your own mastermind, right? And, get people into your world, which I'm assuming is probably going to be, exposure to new opportunities beyond trading. Because, again, this is my perspective from outside, but there's a obviously inherent risk with trading, right? Like you can, like you said, right now, you can have, big days, you can have big losses, right? But then you also want to diversify and see where you're putting your money, how you're growing, your relationships, your mindset, your spirituality. And I think that's going to be the space for you, that mastermind, where you want to cultivate a community of like-minded people, bringing on experts on other topics and helping them develop in multiple areas, which by consequence, it will probably make them a better trader as well, right? So it's going to help them with that game. So why don't you talk a little bit about that? What is that community that you're trying to build, that new mastermind that you're potentially trying to build?
Yeah, so it's called the Evolve Mastermind. So as the name suggests, the goal is to evolve into the best version of ourselves. That could be best investor, best trader, who's somebody who's taking care of his finances, but then somebody who's also maybe building a business or investing the right way into real estate opportunities and other startup investing opportunities. But then more than that, me bringing my inner circle. So, hey, you want to talk to my accountant on taxes? Here you go. He's coming on the mastermind. Want to talk to my lawyer? If you want to start your own hedge fund, we'll help you with that. So like, we're going to bring different experts. So it's not just me. I'm going to be there doing what I do and talking about subjects that I'm good at, but other areas that maybe I'm not the best at, there are other people who are way better than I'm going to bring them in that so they can talk about those different things. So it's going to be like a one hub for people to come in and, okay, we're going to work on your finances. We're going to work on wealth building, but then let's also not ignore the other aspects of our life. Let's work on other areas too, so we can be a well-rounded human being living in harmony rather than being out of balance and just focusing on money and like ignoring everything else. So I think that was the biggest reasons. And the goal is to create a growth-minded community, not a like-minded community, because, drug addicts are like-minded. But we want to bring in growth-minded people who are working towards something.
Yeah.
So I learned that when I was making money, but I was ignoring other aspects of my life. I'm like, hey, I don't want that for other people to learn that the hard way. When they've made all the money, now they're like, oh, I ignored my relationships. I ignored my health. I ignored all of that. So as I'm working on my own things, you get to join me in that journey.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about that, right? About that journey that you're saying, you had the money, but maybe you're neglecting other aspects of your life. I think you paint the picture, right? Also for those that are in this journey of growing their own business, and not to get lost.
Yeah, it depends on like what your why really is and why are you making that money. Because I made money through a lot of pain. Like I growing up just didn't feel enough. I felt like I didn't belong. I wasn't the most social person. I was a complete introvert. And then I had some bad relationships in college and, all of that stuff. So I made money through a lot of pain. It's almost like I'm trying to prove something to the world. There's a negative energy.
Yeah.
Now that energy has its place though. It could really get you to do things and get you motivated and get you through things. So there's a place for that, of that dark side of your dark energy, to use that as fuel to become successful. But at some point you got to let that go and be like, hey, I don't have to prove anything to anybody or the world or to, anybody. I'm doing it for myself. So that's the next stage of evolution, of evolve, is that first step is, sure, we get the financial success. And I think that's the number one key, because when you have financial success, Now I can work on other areas of my life and have the money to hire the best coaches and do all of those things. So finance still comes first, but once you get there, don't be stuck there, right? Don't ignore the other aspects of your life, because you're not going to be fulfilled if it's just money and you're sitting by yourself.
Yeah. No. I remember a few years ago, I think it was with Billie Jean. Billie Jean is marketing, right? Like he was super overweight at one point, and he was like making these millions, right? And I remember like he almost disappeared for like a full year. They stopped working on like these big projects. Like they were like trying to redefine their strategy. And then when he came back, he had lost a lot of weight. Like he's like, hey, I used this year, and he was sharing his experience to almost reset myself, because I was lost, even though we're making all this money. And he had a very young daughter at the time, so he's like, I'm resetting like my entire health, because if I don't take care of myself, do that. And I remember thinking, I think this was probably like 4 years ago, and I remember at that point I was a lot healthier than I am right now, and I was naive enough to think, well, I need to put in the work now. Like I can afford to not think of my health like 100% right now, because I was like healthier, right? And then I took the bad decision to do that. And today I'm in the flip side where like, man, like it's been already a few months, like almost like a year now, where it's like my health has to come first. Like I have to stay active. I have to like eat better. I have to like sleep more. So still working is like a constant battle, right? With the 2 kids, building the business, is like that balance. But I think the awareness of it, which, you know, previous Luis was like, whatever. I think I can survive without this. But then 4 years later, you're like, crap, like, why am I 40 pounds overweight? Why am I not sleeping? Why am I feeling this way? Why don't I have energy, right? And I'm currently in that transformational moment where it's like, oh, crap, I'm aware. I need to start working on this. And I wish I didn't think that way 4 years ago, right? So I think like what you're doing is incredible for a lot of people, because sometimes it's too late to even realize that, right? Because you're so focused on that. And, you know, there's horror stories of, you know, relationships and you know, even for dads, like, I mean, that's my biggest fear today. It's like, you know, my kid's 5 and 2. And it's like, my biggest fear is like, man, like something happens where it's like, I'm not paying attention to them, or I'm not spending enough time with them, right? So what you're doing, I think, is super valuable, and thank you for bringing it out to the world. And I'm sure you're going to help a ton of people, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Thank you. And I think every entrepreneur goes through that. As you mentioned, Billie Jean, even back in the day, if you remember Andy Frisella,
yeah,
you know, like he was super overweight, but then he had his transformation moment. So that goes to show that money kind of, you know, once you get there, then you realize that, okay, that's not the only thing. Yeah. And then that's when you start working on other aspects of your life. So I think every entrepreneur goes through that journey. I think you're in the same phase. Is like, okay, got the business, but okay, now what's next? You know, so I think you just got to be in that realization and be honest with yourself. Yeah. Because it all creeps up on you. 20s, 30s, we can get away with it. Yeah. It starts to creep up. So I think we got to really.
Yeah, Fonzie turned 30, you know, was it a year ago? You're 31 now. And I started playing soccer after 30. It's like, dude, my knees are hurting or whatever. I'm like, yeah, welcome to your 30s, bro. This is what happens.
I'm just gonna put it out there. I just tried out for a new semi-pro team in town, and I made the team at 31. I'm the oldest guy on the team. Just saying, you know. Let's
go. And that's because I'm not there, bro. You know, if I show up, bye-bye.
Dude, Anmol, this has been absolutely amazing. Dude, I love talking to you. You have so much wisdom. I mean, you've experienced so much, right? Like, not only from the monetary side of success, but again, you're just so self-aware. And I love the journey that you're on of, you know, introspection and just growing yourself as a person, and your willingness to give and share with everybody else. So really appreciate you having here. Anything else you want to share, right, that maybe we might have missed, or anything that you think is going to be important for the listener?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. And I think to the listeners is just like, you know, kind of take what we just talked about. We talked about a lot of different things today, and kind of take that and actually apply it into your life. Like, don't be like the other person who's just like one podcast to another podcast, one book to another book, and they claim that they got so much knowledge, but they don't actually do anything. They don't take any action. So we talked about a lot of things today. So maybe look into your own life and see, where am I not being honest with myself? Where am I not being truthful? And what can I do to take corrective action? I think have a roadmap to where you want to go.
Yeah. Absolutely. To quote Tony Robbins here, he says, information is not power, right? Knowledge is not power. Knowledge is potential. power, and it only becomes powerful when you take action. So thank you for that reminder.
Absolutely.
We promised the audience something. We promised the audience that we're gonna share a little bit of
The tech setup. Yeah.
So, earlier in the episode, we had a little snafu. It wasn't showed on screen. Hopefully, Mava read my notes. But, dude, when we jumped on the call, your background looks incredible. And I totally thought that was, like, your apartment. But guess what? Surprise, surprise. It's not. Tell us more because, like, everybody, that listens to Contents Profit, they're always asking, what is the equipment? What is the background? And people that come to the studio, it's like, is this the background I get? I'm like, yes, that's the background you get if you don't have a home studio. But your solution is incredible. So tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, so it's just like an 85-inch, TV behind me, and then I got 3 lights. One key light over here, one straight, and then one coming off the sides. Just 3 lights, camera in front of me, and then a TV in the background. But the cool part is I'll change some backgrounds here. I'll show you. So the good thing with this is you can change your settings. So you got one background over here, and if you want to go to a different one, and you're able to kind of just switch back and forth between different setups.
So cool.
That way every podcast could be a little bit different.
Yeah, I love how your book is like
it's always
finding
there.
It's like finding Wally, It's like your book is hidden somewhere in there, in all of the backgrounds. I love it.
Yeah. No, I absolutely love it, man. I think Mr. Wonderful is the first person I saw that he has like this side camera that he does every time he does like a formal interview. So he's all dressed up, suit up, and then he has like this like crazy like colorful boxer shorts, and it's always like in front of the TV. And I've seen a lot of lately a lot of news reporters that like go in and do remote stuff. They're always right in front of a TV, and I think it's an ingenious solution. I think it looks way better than a green screen and a digital background.
Way better.
So, man, thanks for sharing that. I know a lot of people are like, tech geeks, and they're like, how do I do this and X, Y, Z? So we might, be getting probably, 2 TVs here for the studio and just putting behind people.
Dude, absolutely. We can record a podcast in like Mordor or something, We'll put one crazy background out there.
And get that TV on the rotating fan. So they want to do reels. Same TV, just rotate it.
Yeah, that is so cool. Such a cool idea. Thank you for sharing. My only question with that is, how hot does it get with like the screen right behind you? Does it get pretty warm or not really?
Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
Fancy, you're always complaining about this room is so cold all the time.
I'm just saying, like here, current soccer player, I'm sweating all day long, running around. I don't want to be at the office sweating and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh. Well, Anmol, dude, thank you so much for coming to the show, man. It's been wonderful. I really appreciate it. I'm sure people are gonna take their golden boulders and go apply it.
That's right.
Fonzie, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, just a reminder that a golden boulder is just like a golden nugget, just way bigger. Go and take action.
That's right. Guys, with that said, thank you so much for tuning to the Contents Profit podcast. Go ahead and follow the show in your favorite podcasting platform and on social media at BizVersGo.
That is Ryan and Anmol here, help you move one step closer towards your goal. Please don't forget to share this episode. And of course, don't forget to leave a 5-star review. See ya.
Bye, guys.